responsibly, you know, from an organizational standpoint, both financial and staff resources. But, you know, Jimmy, that's part of our job, is to say to people, look, this isn't going to help the river, this is wrong, and our job is to say, this is wrong, and we're going to defend what's best for the river.
You know, I think a lot of good came out too, Neil, just in the fact that we had so much public involvement because of this too. Because what's happened as a result of our involvement at St. John's Riverkeeper, and all of the citizens, many of you maybe watching have been involved and voiced your concerns about this as well. We now have a much more comprehensive study that's being that's ongoing right now as we speak. The St. John's River Water Management District, as a result of our concerns, raising issues about their previous studies, agreed to launch a much more comprehensive study to look at the comprehensive impacts. And involve outside experts, independent experts as well. So that will conclude, I believe, at the end of next year.
Yeah.
So so we'll know a lot more about the river as a result of this, hopefully. And what we hope, obviously, is that politics don't compromise the outcome of that research, because we know that does happen in the real world.
Sure.
And we're not going to make any judgments until this study comes out, and we've had time to evaluate it, and some of our experts have had a chance to review it. But we're cautiously optimistic that this will lead to more knowledge about the St. John's and a better understanding of it. And also, it's just, I think, given citizens a wake-up call. We've all realized, one, that we use a lot of water and we use it extremely inefficiently. So now you're seeing that the agencies, including the St. John's River Water Management District, local governments, are starting to look more closely at water conservation and what the opportunities are, and recognizing that there's a lot that we can accomplish with conservation. In fact, I would say we could probably meet most, if not all, of our water needs in the future through water conservation and efficiency measures. And of course, I must say reuse. Mention that because there's an opportunity with a lot of wastewater that we produce that goes into the river that could be reused and used on lawns to help or for other purposes. So I think there's a lot that good has happened to this point.
Absolutely.
And as we mentioned, we have an appeal. So
and we're optimistic. And you know, Jimmy, I say this, I was in Orlando last week speaking to somewhere, I think it was over 300 people at a conference, and one of the things I was speaking to them about is this whole water issue. And you know what I told them, and I tell people all the time, we at St. John's Riverkeeper are currently working with people literally from the headwaters, which is down in Vero Beach, out through Mayport into the mouth of the river. And you know, that is, I think, the power of people's love and emotion for the river. People love the river, and I think as we learn more about the river and learn how we as individuals impact the river, I think that's what's going to lead us all to altering how we live and ultimately do a better job. Like I said, this year was in many ways kind of helped me realize that we do have a long way to go. We had a recent, we don't have time to get in it today, I just want to tell people that we recently had a court victory, a real victory, with 4 other environmental groups where the EPA has agreed to establish what I believe is the first meaningful nutrient reduction plan ever. The state of Florida has been postponing this decision, doing everything it possibly could to keep from dealing with this. So, you know, there are good things. What I will tell people is that court decision will be the first meaningful step, I believe, in a restoration plan that somewhere, you know, in the next decade, we're going to begin to see real water quality improvements.
Well, Neil, let me just clarify something for folks out there. As you said, the EPA, and that
that's the federal environmental protection
that's the the Federal Environmental Protection Agency, and they oversee, of course, environmental protection of the states. They delegate to the states but sometimes they step in when necessary and take action. And in this case, what the settlement was resulted in is that the EPA has stepped in and basically is ordering the state of Florida,
Right.
the Florida Department of Environmental Protection Agency, to establish what are called numeric standards for nutrient,
Right.
which will basically put limits,
Right.
definable limits on the
Right.
amount of nutrients that can go into the river, and so it'll be enforceable. We know how much can go in exactly, and there'll be limits on how much can be
Exactly.
discharged, and then we'll have enforcement capabilities that we have not had in the past.
Right.
So what we're hoping is this will result in a reduction in the amount of nutrients that are going into the St. John's that are causing these algae blooms and the reason that our river is sick currently. So hopefully, but we'll see. We've seen this before.
Right, right. And, we've talked about this. We've been fighting this battle on nutrient reduction literally since our inception almost 10 years ago. We've come close on a couple of times. I know we've spoken about on this show that we have had court victories in federal court in the past. Those victories were mooted or through what I would describe the state moving to protect polluters. And so we finally believe now with this recent victory, and let me say it was a huge victory, that we're going to begin to see meaningful steps toward restoring the health of the river.
Okay, Neil, we only have a couple of minutes left, but I want to say a few things real quick. We've mentioned this, quote, SLAP suit. It's a SLAP type suit, I should say, which means that we have been charged with filing a frivolous lawsuit, and that is when we filed for the administrative hearing challenging the permit for Yankee Lake, the opposition is claiming that our charges were frivolous, that we didn't really know that it was going to harm the river, and we did this for other purposes, one of which they claim was just delay, and the other was actually to raise money, which I have a hard time keeping a straight face when I say that, because it is so ridiculous, because as we've proven that we had to spend a lot of time and resources raising a lot of money that then we turned and had to spend on and give to attorneys and expert witnesses to make our case. But we had a hearing. We went to Tallahassee. You, unfortunately, had to be on the witness stand and grilled for, I guess it was about 4.5 hours or so.
Over 5 hours, but it seemed like a lifetime.
Yeah, and so actually we have very limited time left, so we're not going to be able to get into it, but too much, Neil, but say a couple of words, and then afterwards I just want to say it's on the blog on our website.
Yeah, I would tell people if you're really interested, there's a kind of an overview. Jimmy, what I think is clear, Seminole County is looking through every single piece of paper we've ever written, and we laugh probably looking at this show as we film it today. We're confident that we're going to prevail, but we'll keep people posted.
Yeah, and I'm sorry we don't have enough time. As you can see, there's a lot to say about these issues, so check out our website, check out our blog, and learn more, and check back here next month to watch the Riverkeeper Show. Thanks for joining us.